if it's okay with you, I would like to drill down on what I think is one of the more interesting areas in the Fort Worth market, and that's Weatherford.
The cutting horse capital of the world.
It is.
There he is. There he is, folks. Now, let's do this. Randy Galloway, legendary Dallas-Fort Worth sports writer and for a long time radio man, loved to pronounce the name of this town differently than most. Many call it Weatherford. He liked to say Weatherford. So, Mari, just broadly tell us a little bit about Weatherford.
Okay.
Or Weatherford, as most people say.
Yeah. It is intriguing. I like Weatherford a lot. As Ian said, fun fact, it is the cutting horse capital of the world.
Anybody watch Yellowstone? They do a lot of cutting horse stuff on that show with the value of horses and things. That's happening out in Weatherford.
It's also the peach capital of Texas.
Really?
Yeah. And they do a festival every year. So they've got some really fun events.
Note that for the old podcast festival segments. Also, I'm going to have to take Dana out there because she loves peaches. Back to you, Mari.
But because, they've got horses out there and they've got peaches out there and there's a lot of land.
Yep.
There's a lot of, which I think is a huge draw for people, both coming from different states and coming just from Fort Worth area or within Texas. People want space. People want privacy.
Amen to that.
Yeah. But it has kind of a little bit for everything. So if you look at just what's sold in the last couple of years, you've got townhomes at 0.03 of an acre, and then you've got ranches, like a ranch that's 200 acres.
Right.
It's got it all.
Yep.
It's got all of
So I would argue that as someone who's been selling real estate in DFW for 20 something years, we've been a team 20 years this year, and we weren't a team in the very beginning. So my understanding of Weatherford, I've never lived in Weatherford, has evolved quite a bit. It used to feel, quote, way out there, right? And some of that has to do with literally like road construction and the development of cities in between DFW or Fort Worth and Weatherford. Now it feels right there. It feels like it's just not that far of a drive. So both of those populations, folks that have grown up living in or have spent their kids in elementary school years or whatever in Fort Worth or in the mid-cities or whatever, are now like, Weatherford is not that far. Let's go get more land, more peace of mind, but we don't have to sacrifice restaurants, shopping, movie theaters, like all the things we need. Right. That's how I view what you just said, which is like, it's got it all. It maybe doesn't have 5 of everything, but it's got everything you need. And by the way, if there is some really unique thing like a museum or a professional sports team, that drive is not a big deal anymore. No. So when you're making a normal midday drive from Fort Worth to Weatherford, what do you call the average on that?
20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I live in West Fort Worth, and it takes me, I think, 14 minutes to get to HEB.
Yeah. I was going to say ballpark 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That, to me, used to feel like 30 plus for sure. And although that's only a 10-minute difference, on an all-the-time regular deal, that feels different. I feel like people are like, I want to live in Weatherford and work in Fort Worth. I love the culture of Fort Worth, but it's not the small town it once was. It is a really big city, like ranks on top cities, that is still trying to act like a small town. But more and more people like actually want to live over there in Weatherford, which still kind of is a smaller town. But I still want to be attached to Fort Worth. And you can totally do that in Weatherford.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So what are like, just broadly, what do property values kind of look like in Weatherford? What does it cost to like enter that market? And then how high does some of the really incredible, gorgeous stuff get to?
So like I said, a lot of people are wanting some land. So if you're wanting an acre, 2 acres with a semi-new home, I would say starting around $450 would be your starting.
And for a lot of people, that is a really affordable price point, because other parts of the Metroplex to get an acre or more in a nice house is $100,000 or more over that. So Weatherford is this incredible community where you can get one of those townhomes you talked about for in the 2s or 3s, right? You can get a smaller lot master plan community type deal in the 3s-ish. And now you're starting to talk about getting a home on land, one of our favorite things, with a big backyard or a big front yard for under $5. And then let's just say, like, if you won the lottery, unlimited budget, you could go big in Weatherford. You could get one of those tens or hundreds of acre situations into the many, 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 many millions, right?
Yeah.
There are some show-stopping properties in Weatherford that you don't know are there because they're back in the trees, but you're talking 10, 15 million plus. So it has the full spectrum of housing options.
Yeah.
right? So your buyers, let's just say, for example, like your buyers that are moving here from another city or another state, they're not moving out from Fort Worth. They're moving here from California or something. What are they loving about Weatherford?
Yeah, they're loving the space, and they're loving that they've got everything still close by. I know we've already kind of touched on it, but 2 weeks ago they opened their Costco, so people aren't having to drive into Fort Worth for Costco.
Having a Costco is legit. I don't care who you are. It's kind of nice.
Costco's awesome. Yeah.
Like you go on a midday when the masses aren't there. You know what I'm talking about?
But they're still doing samples.
Yeah. She knew what I meant. You don't go too late because then they don't do the samples anymore.
Right, you got to time it right. Yeah.
I've never been when it's quiet.
It's rare. It is very rare.
I went on a Sunday one time. They open at they open at like 11. Like I was there 30 minutes before opening.
Oh, you don't.
The
ever
line was around
there.
the corner. I'm like, what in the world?
That's when the business owners are there. Sam's is the same way. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but back to.
But the out of towners. So here's been my experience. You tell me if I'm crazy.
Yeah.
The out of towners, especially the California folks, are like, we're moving to Texas, right? There's going to be horses all over the place. Well, you might actually get that vibe in Weatherford, right? You might see someone on the shoulder of the road on a horse who's got a beautiful ranch property. And you might live near that in your brand new, super nice, modern benefits house, right?
Right. I have a client who I've been helping in, well, they've referred me, thankfully, to all their family members. Their whole family's moving from California to Weatherford. And they're all getting homes on, 2-acre lots, and they all get to be within 10 minutes of each other and go to all the events that Weatherford has to offer and all that.
Living the dream. Now then there's other audiences, but there's the folks that have been in Fort Worth, or maybe they were in Aledo or Benbrook, and it used to feel like Weatherford, and now it doesn't anymore because it's grown up and they have added a school, or there's 4 times as many people, and they're going, no, I'm trying to regain that feel, and they're going out to Weatherford, and I would imagine they basically are attracted to the same exact things.
Yeah. Because Weatherford still has kind of the smaller town feel where they've got the main farmers market, and they do a big event for 4th of July.
Yep.
What they call it? Hold on, I have Spark in the Park.
Spark in the Park,
Which
sounds dangerous.
Plus the whole Peach Festival that my wife's going to be mad at.
What do I do at Spark in the Park?
Eli Young Band came and performed last year. Yeah, and then they've got all carnival rides and stuff like that. I think they had water slides even. And then obviously fireworks.
Okay, we're obviously all going this year. Probably the Peach Festival before the Spark in the Park. But listen, what we're trying to tell folks is Weatherford's an incredible place to live. There are many, many, many reasons to appreciate Weatherford. But if you're thinking about making a move to Weatherford, let us know. We'll get you connected with Mari. You can just call and ask for her. I don't want to talk to this Todd guy. I want to talk to Mari. Okay, 214-310-0008.